Keeper of the Lost Cities, Chapter 47. Sophie drifted with the warmth. Time, space, life, they held no meaning in the brightness. But she was peaceful, more peaceful than she had ever been. If this was death, it wasn't so bad. A ghost of sound wove through the sparkle and color and heat. She tried to ignore it, but the noise persisted and it sounded familiar. The same word over and over. Sophie. Awareness tugged her away from the light, and she fought against leaving the freedom. She didn't want to go back to the darkness. But she couldn't tune out the voice. Sophie, Sophie, can you hear me? Sophie. The light turned teal and sparkled like a jewel all around her. The voice was soft but still crisp, like it had an accent she couldn't place. Fitz, the rainbow world lost its appeal. With a surge of newfound strength, she pulled every remaining ounce of her concentration and wrapped it around the sound of his voice, letting it pull her back to reality. She gasped as pain rocked her head so hard it felt like her mind cracked and a thousand different aches splintered through her body. She tried to move but only managed a slight shiver. Something strong and warm wrapped around her. Sophie, Fitz said again, clearer now, right next to her. Sophie, can you hear me? Squeeze my hand if you can hear me. She didn't have the strength to squeeze, but her mind was stronger than her body. I'm here. He laughed, a beautiful sound, and the warmth enveloped her again, tighter this time. Everything is going to be okay, he whispered. You're safe now. Just stay with me, okay? I'll try. There was something she needed to remember. Something bad had happened. Someone was hurt. An image of strawberry blonde haired boy crumpled on the ground flashed into her mind. Dex! Dex is fine, Fitz promised. Keith leaved him to Everglen, and Biana left to get Elvin. We weren't sure if it was safe to move you. His voice hitched at the end. So many questions raced to her mind, but she was afraid to ask any of them. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. I didn't want to believe you could still be. Get my hopes up if. He choked on the words. I finally told Keith and Biana about it, and they convinced me to come. If I'd come sooner, maybe. You're here now. I just hope I'm not too late, he whispered. Where is she? Elvin barked, as running footsteps moved closer. He gasped. Fitz, open her mouth. Soft fingers parted her lips, and then a cool liquid slid across her tongue. Try to swallow, Sophie, Elvin ordered. It took every bit of strength she had to push the sweet syrup down. The medicine rushed through her body, numbing as it went. No, she didn't want to be sedated again. She didn't want to go back to darkness. It's okay, Sophie, Fitz whispered, his voice farther away. Don't fight the medicine, Elvin added. Your body isn't ready to be awake. I promise it will be okay. Have the strength to come. She was scared to sink into the blackness again. She wasn't sure she'd have the strength to come back. Her panic eased as Fitz's voice filled her mind. You're going to be okay, he promised. Just sleep. She clung to his words as the darkness dragged her under. Cool tingles across her forehead pulled her back to the reality, and Sophie took deep breaths, luxuriating in the rise and fall of her chest. She had forgotten how wonderful it was to breathe. That's my girl, someone whispered. She knew the voice, but her foggy mind couldn't place it. Something touched her lips, and then she parted them, gulping the cool wetness that poured into her mouth. She wanted to drink forever, but the liquid stopped. Her face twisted in protest. I know, the voice said, but you have to give your stomach a chance to adjust. It's been empty for a long time. She wanted to argue, but her stomach cramped as the cold liquid hit it. Her body contorted. Can't you give her anything for the pain? Another voice asked from somewhere nearby. I need her to feel I need her to feel right now so I can check her progress. Then I can numb her again. No, she begged, horrified at her strangled voice. She had had enough sedative to last a lifetime. No medicine. Shh, he whispered, rubbing balm into her dry lips. I won't give you any medicine, I promise. Now please, lay still before you wear yourself out. Okay. She forced her eyes open, squinting in the light. Her round face with dark messy hair hovered over her. The iridescent spectacles gave him away. Alvin, she whispered, tears pooled in his eyes. I can't tell you how good it is to hear you say that. Bullhorn's been sleeping next to you for 2 weeks. We were starting to lose hope, but yesterday he moved, and now here you are. Someone sniffled behind her. Alden? She asked, recognizing the other voice she had heard. I'm here, he whispered, stepping into her line of sight and taking her hand. You up for a few visitors? Elvin asked. Sure, she whispered. Alden propped her up with a pillow and she realized she was at Everglen, in the room she had stayed in her first night as an elf. Outside, she could hear some murmured debate over who should see her first. Then then Fitz rushed on her side. She swallowed back tears as she met his eyes. Thanks for bringing me back. Before he could reply, Biana raced into the room, threw her arms around her, and burst into tears. I'm so sorry, Sophie. My dad wanted you around more so he could keep an eye on you. So he told me to reach out to you, but I really am your friend. And then you were gone, and her voice trailed into sobs. It's okay, Sophie whispered, and she meant it. If Biana cared enough to rescue her, cared enough to cry, that was enough. Forget about it, okay? We're still friends. Biana sniffled and pulled back to meet her eyes. Really? Really? All time, enough girly drama, Keith said, shoving his way in. I was part of the rescue too, remember? I'm the one who knew the tree you told Fitz about was a Four Seasons tree. So if it weren't for me, he faltered as he seemed to realize he was talking about her dying. Thank you, Keith. She smiled to show him she didn't mind. He shrugged. Anytime. And by the way, you're a telepath? I think that proves once and for all that you're definitely the most mysterious girl ever. His face darkened. My dad was very smug when he heard you being training with Targan. He always has to be right, and this time he was. Sophie's eyes darted to Alden. It's okay, you won't have to hide it anymore. In fact, everyone seems to know every detail that's happened these past few months. He shot a meaningful glance at Keith. Great, everyone knew she was a freak. What a freak she was. Though it was kind of a relief. No more hiding, no more lying. Her friends would stand by her, and the others? She wasn't sure she cared. Things are changing, Alden added, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, you should rest. Not without this, Keith said, handing her bright blue elephant. Ella! Sophie buried her face between the floppy ears, ignoring Keith's snickers. She had been through too much to care about being teased. She met Fitz's eyes melting when he smiled at her. Thank you guys for rescuing me. Just get better, okay? Keith ordered. School wasn't the same without you. No explosions or emergencies. Boring. I'll try, she promised. And if you need anything, you know how to reach me, Fitz transmitted. Sophie gasped. How? Fitz grinned. I have no idea. I slipped in when you were fading, and now it's easy. Does that mean you can read my mind? She asked, preparing to die of embarrassment if he could. He shook his head. I can only transmit. Pretty cool though, huh? She nodded, trying not to worry about what might have happened to her brain to cause that kind of change. Hey, no secret telepathic conversations. You two? Or I'll have to assume you guys are flirting. Keith laughed as they both flushed and looked anywhere but at each other. I think Dex is going to explode if I don't let him in, Elvin interrupted. Dex burst through the door and Sophie's breath caught in her throat. He looked perfect, not a scratch on him. We'll see you later, Fitz promised as he pulled Keith and Biana out with him. Dex stormed past them. Next time you try to rescue me, concentrate a little more on yourself, okay? You almost died because of me. Actually, you almost died because of me. Twice, she reminded him, her voice shaking as she tried not to think about his blank eyes after the Melder blast. He bit his lips. Call it even? Deal. He leaned forward like he wanted to hug her, then noticed Alden and Elvin and backed off. He squeezed a hand, color streaking his cheeks. You're really okay? Yeah, just a little tired. How about you? Did the melder do any damage? Her eyes searched for tiny injuries she might have missed from far away. Nothing Elvin couldn't fix, and nothing like what happens when you leap with all your concentration wrapped around someone else. Do you have any idea how dumb that was? What was I supposed to do? My concentration's weak as it is, and you were injured. Actually, your concentration isn't weak at all, Alden corrected. Dex didn't lose a single cell in the leap. Elvin agreed. If you had kept a little more of that concentration for yourself, you wouldn't have faded, and wouldn't have had to spend 2 weeks trying to bring the color and life back to a half drained body. Sorry, she mumbled, cringing at the words. Half drained. But my nexus was barely at the half. Dex, you saw it. How could my concentration be strong? We'll talk later, Alden said. Right now, you need to rest. He pulled the blankets around her shoulders, and she snuggled Ella, wondering why Fitz had her. She had left Ella at Havenfield. Did Grady and Adeline come to see me? She whispered, hating herself for hoping they had. They haven't left since Fitz found you. You have no idea what they've been going through these past 3.5 weeks. 3.5 weeks? You have been gone a long time, Sophie. They're waiting outside, but they understand if you don't want to see them. Emotion caught in her throat and she cleared it away. As much as they had hurt her, as angry she had been, she couldn't shut them out. Not after everything she had been through. You can send them in, she whispered. Alden squeezed her shoulder and led Dex toward the door. Dex waved as two gaunt fingers crept into the room. Sophie blinked. Grady? Adeline? She barely recognized them. They looked like they hadn't eaten or slept or changed clothes in weeks. Adeline covered her trembling lips and raced to Sophie, crawling into the bed to hold her so tight it was almost hard to breathe. Grady dropped to his knees on the floor beside them, squeezing Sophie's arm. I'll just give you guys a minute, Elvin said, fleeing the scene as they all started crying. Grady cleared his throat and wiped his eyes. Sorry, we don't want to wear you out. It's just a little overwhelming to get you back. We went to your funeral. Another sob shook Adeline's shoulder before she realized Sophie and pulled herself up, squeezing Sophie's hand. Losing you was one of the hardest things I've ever endured, she whispered. But the worst part was knowing that you had no idea how much you mean to us. Grady squeezed both of their hands. We never wanted to love anyone again after we lost Jolie, Edlin whispered. But we love you, Sophie. You're just as much as our daughter as she was. We need you to know that, not because we want you to forgive us, but because you deserve to know. Canceling your adoption was the worst mistake we have ever made, Grady added. You'll always have a home with us at Havenfield, but we understand if you want to stay with Alden and Della. We just hope you'll come visit sometime. Let us be a tiny part of your life, even if we don't deserve it. Sophie nodded, too overwhelmed to say anything other than thanks. But when Adeline kissed her cheek and Grady stroked her hair, she added, I love you guys too. They both smiled, and even though they were still thin and tired, they looked more like themselves. Adeline kissed her cheek again. Oh, I almost forgot. Grady pulled a tiny fur ball out of his pocket. Iggy? Iggy flitted to her shoulder, nuzzling her cheek. Sophie gagged. I forgot about Iggy breath. She scratched his fuzzy head and his crackly purr filled the room. Thanks for your help in the cave, little man. Adeline sniffed. He didn't come and find us. Took us a while to figure out what he wanted, and by the time we got down to the caves, there'd been a huge wave and her voice vanished. Sophie squeezed her hand. I'm safe. She tried to believe the words were true. Grady stood up as she yawned. We'll let you sleep. She didn't want to sleep after losing so much time, but her body demanded it, and by the time Grady pulled the blanket around her and switched off the light, she was already asleep, with Iggy snoring like a chain saw beside her.